They had a lot of stuff to
clarity,
get done.
depth perception. Who needs that?
How we doing on time?
We have like a 1 moment. A moment, sir. I have sanded 2,159 miles today.
We didn't even hardly sand.
No, we didn't sand it up. No, I took, that's how many steps I took. But yeah. Gary wants to know.
I can't imagine that you didn't take more steps. Maybe not. Maybe
No,
not.
I mean, because I didn't.
You weren't back and forth.
No,
to the shop.
no.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay.
Gary wants to know, when does the amp class start? Friday or Saturday? I'm gonna try to get it to start on Saturday.
Yeah, I think he wants to do a little bit of
Like,
TED talk. Talking,
yeah.
Just like, hey everybody, this is what to look forward to tomorrow.
Yeah. And
Stuff like
speaking of
that.
hey everybody, this is Matt, and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. But Gary, I think that I believe that we could probably skip all that stuff. And I think that might upset Eric a little bit until he realizes, oh, I don't have to go in until Saturday. And then he might be like, yeah, all right. You guys are smart. You can, he can still, like, do you really need to know, like, okay, this is the code to tell you what the resistor does. Now let's take a little quiz on that. Like, at some point, let's just put the amp together and rock out. I don't know. We've never done the amp workshop. You're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For one thing, all the parts are, you don't get a big bag of resistors.
No.
They're not labeled, but they're all separate.
They're in a cool little tray.
There's also a key that tells you what's where.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So a guy just walked in the door,
and I'm sure he'll tell you how to, check resistance, make sure you're using the right resistor.
But at some point, once you've done it, it's like, okay, yeah.
I think there's a lot of things you can learn while building.
That's a great, do you really need to have all this foundation?
Frankly, I'd forget from Friday night to Saturday what I learned the night before.
Especially all the drinking you guys are going to do. Not you, but you guys. So, hey, I learned something the other day. Did you know that the Navajo peoples they don't point at things. They don't point. Oh, really? With their hands.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're not going to believe me.
Okay.
But it's my understanding they point with their, what would you think?
Their heart?
Mouths. It's a thing. It's a thing.
I like heart too.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, look over there. Hey. Yeah. I don't know how
their eyes.
Yeah. With their mouths.
Their smile.
Yeah. You kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. In any event, Chris, how in the heck are you today?
I'm good, Matt.
I am having a beer for the first time in many days.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a whole shop full of people.
I am having a beer.
Yeah. You have decided to have beer whenever you decide to do it, just like me.
Right.
So we've got a shop full of guys, and they're building we're doing the ultimate PRS style workshop.
Mm-hmm.
They look like $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They do, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And this is the second class, and we implemented a few changes, and so far everything's going swimmingly.
Yeah, I think that these guys are ahead of the guys last week for a number of reasons.
At least 2 hours, maybe 3 hours ahead.
We had a setback last week. I'm not going to tell you what it is. If you were here, if you know. You know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it was.
And if you don't know, it's not a big deal because we moved past it.
Could have been a fire alarm.
You don't know.
Yeah. Traffic was real bad.
Yeah.
Could have been we went for a long lunch.
Could have been that my laxative kicked in.
Yeah. Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
That's not the point.
My laxative kicking in?
No.
Okay.
What the issue was, what the distraction was.
Yeah.
Maybe there were ponies across the street. We all decided to go for pony rides.
Maybe we went for
3 hours.
Ride. Yeah. And these guys didn't get to go for pony rides.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The point is we're ahead of the game.
Yeah. And they look really, really cool. It's funny. It's not funny, haha. It's not really funny, peculiar. It's
Is it the third funny?
I don't know what it is. it's it's neat to see the guys channel the paint department at Paul Reed Smith. How about that? Because that happens. Yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah, everybody's like, hey, yeah, what color do you want your guitar? I want it this. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, $10,000 PRS.
Yeah,
okay.
we're gonna match that. Yeah.
Watch
No-
this.
No one wants to channel the
No.
$350 Paul Reed Smith SE.
Yeah, brown,
Brown,
amber. Yeah. You know, the top looks really good.
Except
you could just,
except
you could
us.
just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Well, nobody left it alone.
No.
No.
We've got I'm going to tell you, the reveal for tomorrow is really, really cool. We've got one guy who shall not be named, who will not be revealing his guitar tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yes. The mystery guy.
Okay.
Can we reveal the guitar? Just not you? Okay. So we can say the guitar.
Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
I haven't heard this story.
Well,
I'll ask
when you're
later.
when you're in the witness protection program, you can't. Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Okay.
So you know what we're talking about today, Chris?
No, I didn't even see the thumbnail.
Well, it's a doozy. Actually, I think you're going to really like this one. First, I want to talk a little bit about the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival,
Okay.
the Great American Archtop Festival. You know, if I was in charge of naming things, everything would be that.
I know.
And you know what else? We would make America rock again. And there's only one way to rock.
Mara.
And
get
you can
blue
still rock in America.
Let's get black Mara hats.
Yeah, sure. The other thing that we want to talk about is something that I think you're going to really enjoy, and that is Leo Fender versus Paul Reed Smith.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm excited to do that. And of course, we are coming to you ad-free because all of our live videos are ad-free and fully sponsored by you, the viewer, or the viewer. And yeah, isn't that odd? Hey,
See, I just said the same thing.
what?
With my heart.
You did. You really did. So let's talk about the Great American Archtop Festival, Chris,
Okay.
aka the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival.
Okay.
Evidently, this is a way bigger deal than I thought, because I'm thinking it's a guitar show.
Yeah.
Well, and it is,
Mhm.
but it's more than that. What do you
Yeah.
know about
Well, so I get a text from my neighbor the other day.
it? Mm-hmm. Did you get a super chat
yesterday.
from Dastardly Dave?
No.
We did, and he says Brian
No.
made him do it.
Yeah. And I get this thing, and she says, "Hey, are you showing your guitars at this event?" And it's the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure where she saw this. Oh, she saw it on 9 News. which
Okay.
is one of the big
Local news,
yeah, TV stations here.
mega
And
conglomerate.
blah blah blah, da da da. And I said yes, and she said that's cool. And then she said, and then she found
Mhm.
a bunch of Joy's pictures
Oh yeah,
of me and my car, which she knows very well.
Van Schenk Guitars gave us a super chat. Dan Andrada sent us a super chat, and you're keeping it ad free. And thanks to Brian Duncan, who's making these guys do it.
Mhm.
Thank you, Brian. Brian's in the shop right now.
Yeah, so I'll bet that guitar show is one of the things to do in Denver this week.
Oh,
And-
it absolutely is, because it goes.
But people,
Yeah,
that's, that's how
Yeah.
things to do in Denver this weekend.
Mike Beckloff sent us a super chat and says ad free. Woohoo! I don't know if you know this, but if you wanted to get an all access pass to the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival,
Mhm.
how much do you suppose it would be?
I
What
have
would
no
you suppose?
idea.
Okay, let me tell you.
Okay.
Because hold on, let me tell you some more. Not only is it just the guitar show,
Mhm.
there's a bunch of concerts with a bunch of like people that are big time jazz box.
Yeah, and I saw every booth gets some time for somebody to get up and play their stuff.
You know what that means? Jam Jimmy's going to do ours.
I don't remember when it is though.
Oh.
And I think we're not going to be able to be there. I think it's Friday.
Okay. Well, I want to say that the all access pass to like get into every single thing,
Mhm.
and you get to go over to Pete Henriksen's house for breakfast and on like Sunday morning.
Beer hall.
It's $500. They're not giving it away. This is like
Really?
a big deal. Yeah.
for
dude.
all access.
Yeah.
All access pass.
Yep. Doug Santaniello, our very good buddy, says he's mowing in his backyard. So he's probably got like earbuds in and like really big beers because he's got a big lawn. And yeah, he's on the riding mower and he's making
how big a riding mower have you got there?
he's got zero turning radius and everything.
Is it
Yeah.
a stand up or is it a sit down?
Pete C sent us a 20 spot and he says Brian made me do it since he can't access his account. God bless you, Pete.
It's a Coke and a bottle of Jack.
It's a Jack Daniels in one side and a Coke in the other. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, this is not a not for the
small walleted.
Well, it's not for the small walleted, but you got to be a serious guitar player to come to this because you're gonna feel it. Well, unless you're so wealthy, you $500 isn't a big deal. Is $500 a big deal to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so
I'm not saying I wouldn't spend it. I am saying
how much did it cost for, if you don't mind me asking, to do the
Surf Guitar 101?
the Great American Surf
the Great American Surf Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the European bands.
Yeah.
It was the ticket was I think $200 all access.
All right.
Full boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Special seat that I didn't sit in. Yeah. Yeah, it was $200.
So I think there's a lot of concerts and everything at the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival, and I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, it starts tomorrow. If you guys are in the Denver area and you want to go, now it doesn't cost $500 to get into the show and come hang out with me and Chris.
Yeah.
I think it's $25 or something.
Okay, and that's kind of what I was thinking you were talking about.
I
know
$500. Yeah,
good Lord.
Yeah.
But for all the bells and whistles. Yeah.
And I don't think that includes like a suite or anything at the Old Town Arvada Hilton. I think it's $500, and then you got to pay the freight to stick around. So anyway, so we're gonna be there at 9 tomorrow. Joy and Jim Jimmy and myself are gonna be there at 9 tomorrow setting up. You're gonna be here working with the guys. Finishing up the Paul Reed Smith.
We'll be doing some soldering.
Ultimate Paul Reed Smith style workshop.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go and help them get set up. I'm not going to be there all day.
Right.
I'm going to come and get in your way. I'm going to sit in your spot where you want to be, and I'm going to complain.
Really, I got to move again.
Yeah.
My tools.
Yeah. Jay sent us a super chat and says, Brian made me get off my tractor to do it. Jay, what? We got a bunch of guys who have tractors. That's cool.
I ain't got no tractor.
Well, I wonder how many people who are watching are like tending to livestock right now.
I don't know.
So anyway, but are you going to be there Saturday and Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. It's like 10 to 6.
That's fine.
And then 10 to 4 on Sunday.
I'm super tough.
Okay. Yeah. Dude, and I know you're pumped for this because I think that whether you like our guitars or hate our guitars, the people who are there have bucks. So that's the kind of people we want to hang out with. What are we taking? We don't have a big booth.
I think a couple guitars.
I mean, I know what we're taking, but why don't you tell everybody?
Okay. I was like, I thought we decided.
We already knew.
So we're going to take, I don't want to say we specifically built a guitar for this, but we specifically built a guitar for this. A Challenger Level 4 Deluxe.
And it is awesome. You know how awesome it is? Doug already bought it.
Yeah.
That's how wicked it is.
Yeah. It's where is it?
It's in the thing over there, so it doesn't get all dinged up.
Yeah. It's really cool. It looks like Mike Beckloff's.
Yeah.
If Mike had left his guitar here,
we'd have taken it.
Yeah. But it's basically that guitar, and then we're taking an Icon.
Yep.
Of
a Sunburst Icon.
It's a standard. Yeah. Well, what I call the standard Icon, which is Sunburst.
Block inlay, chrome cover,
or nickel covered.
Yep.
Yeah. Humbucker. Yeah. Standard. Yeah.
Someone was telling me that
very much like Doug Santinello's Icon.
Somebody was telling me that we don't make archtop guitars, we make carved top guitars.
Yeah, we do.
And I'm like, fine, but I think that's just kind of a weird semantics thing. Let me ask you this.
And we get a pass because we're friends with Pete.
Yeah, Pete didn't say, "Oh, you can't bring your."
Yeah, he's like that one's hollow. This one's got an arch on the top. Yeah, you guys are good.
Plus, we have an ace up our sleeves.
We had money to spend on the table.
Well, no, we have an ace up. We have an ace up our sleeves.
Okay.
We have Jim Jam Jimmy going to be there.
Oh yeah.
Who's going to sell more guitars than James? Nobody. That dude's like, he's right over there. So yeah, I'm kind of giving him the stroke a little bit, but I'm not. But he really does. Like he's a people person.
He is
way more than me.
Yeah. We'll be there Saturday and Sunday. They go,
what do you want?
Yeah. Where's that guy that was here yesterday?
Get the guy back here.
We came back here specifically to talk to him.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Well,
we're the guys that.
Here's what I know. Everybody on Friday will be over at Jim's house Friday night.
Yeah, he's going to make lifelong friends with this, right?
Yes,
he does.
Yes, that's kind of the way he rolls.
People from other countries. Yeah, this Hungarian dude comes up and we
were in line to go to the bathroom at some music festival, and we met these people from some place, and now they hang out with us all the time.
Yeah,
it happens.
We're flying to Hungary next summer.
It happens.
Big Archtop festival.
Yeah. Van Shank Guitars says, Matt, you should bring back the amp to play the new guitars. Okay, let me read this one more time. Matt, you should bring back the amp to play the new guitars. I'm missing something here, my friend.
I think this is gonna sound there's no amps, right?
No, I was talking to Pete Henricks today, and he's like, "Yeah, there's no because imagine this: you've been to the NAMM show.
I have been to the NAMM show.
You've been to Guitar Center. You know how quickly the doors open at the NAMM show, and it turns into Guitar Center.
Well,
only
so much so that
really
they have guys
big.
walking around going, "Yeah, it's too loud."
Now imagine everyone's playing jazz through an amp.
Venue.
So I don't know that there's going to be any amps. And frankly, the Icon, and the Challenger, you don't need an amp to realize
the Icon might be too loud for this venue.
It might
Unplugged.
be. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a bunch of Archtops there, so yeah,
there will be good ones that are loud. But that's a very funny idea to me because we always hear, I really want to hear this guitar. I really need to hear this guitar. There's going to be big money guitars sold at this thing, presumably.
Yeah.
Being only heard acoustically.
Oh, okay. So Van Shank says you used to demo the guitars back in the day. Yeah, we would do video demos and nobody watched them.
Well, we did that, but we used to also, when we first started doing reveal videos, we'd plug into the amp and you'd play a little bit and I'd play a little bit, and then everybody would make fun of us.
Yeah, and there's like a compression or something that doesn't translate into.
And I'll let anybody jump up here and play a guitar live if they want to do it.
Sure,
and then we can all make fun of them too.
The real trick is not finding an amp; it's finding someone who's willing to play the guitar amplified on a live stream. And
usually we're busy with stuff right up until a minute or two before we do these things, and then you have to get up here and play the guitar.
Loring says you should use this as an outreach for the 5280 workshops. We're not doing that. If someone wants to know about that, we can do that. But it is okay. It is my belief that players don't build, builders don't play, and collectors don't do either one. Generally speaking,
I don't do any of those.
Generally speaking, I think that's about accurate. And that's not 100% accurate, but generally speaking.
Somebody brought up Mark Knopfler last time he said that.
Mark Knopfler builds guitars?
No. He's a collector.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So actually somebody brought up
also knows how to play a guitar.
Somebody also brought up Joe Bonamassa last time I said that. You could also all right.
There's always the exception to the rule.
Here's the curveball. Eddie Van Halen.
He assembled some guitars.
Not much of a guitar builder.
No,
when
but
you
he
get
did
right
down
to it.
And I think he did know how to work on them to get them to do the things that he wanted them to do. Now, builder, no.
I submit to you that if Eddie Van Halen wasn't Eddie Van Halen and was just some guy in his garage making those, you'd have never bought them. You'd have never heard about it.
There's a bunch of guitars that look exactly like that.
Now there are.
No, I don't mean that look like Eddie Van Halen guitars, but have that same kludged together.
The internet is now. Someone is losing their mind right now. Eddie Van Halen was the greatest guitar builder of all time. Fine.
his
Fine. Yeah.
Charvel seconds and stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay. But yeah, so we're Victor says, do you guys use D Armand single coil pickups? We have some T Armand single coil pickups, which is the TV Jones version of those. We don't use them very often. Very, very infrequently.
Yeah.
So
where do you buy that stuff? Like, I mean,
a D Armand, yeah, do they even I know that
there's people that make those. D Armand doesn't make them anymore.
TV Jones makes the
they make one,
reproductions.
except it's a Filtertron sized pickup. But I don't know where you'd round up a D Armand.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, it's not a boutique kind of really expensive kind of a pickup. Yeah. So
my
if
favorite
somebody wants that, we'll gladly do it.
My favorite guitar builder in the world, Eddie Van Halen, never
together.
used them. So yeah. Anyway.
Jim's leaving.
Jim's leaving.
Bye, Jim.
See you tomorrow.
All right, man. So anyway, what I don't know. I don't even really know where we are with the whole Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival.
I mean, we're going in blind. It should be good.
Yeah, I
Should
think
be
it's
fun.
going to be fun.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Chris, I will put. Have you looked at some of the guitars that some of the builders?
I ran through the page and just looked at the pictures they had of everybody's stuff. I didn't
Man, they look good.
dig any deeper. Not a fan of looking at a lot of guitars online because I know you can do stuff with photos, and it's a lot like live music. I prefer to hear it live rather than
because now
because,
you can.
I mean, you can hide a lot of stuff, and so I want to see the guitar up close and in person.
Okay.
Even if I can't pick it up, like the Rickenbacker booth, it's just strapped to a wall. I still want to see them in person. That's how I'm most impressed.
The last time that we did a show like this was 2019. We left that show. I remember driving back from Nashville, and we were both like, "Man, we saw some great stuff."
Yeah.
But I don't think we were second fiddle to any of it. I'll put our guitars up against anybody else's.
Yeah, we
guitars.
brought a bunch of really nice stuff, and I'm looking forward to wandering around and looking at stuff. It should be fun. My knowledge of archtop guitars is that big.
I think we're going to see some really excellent stuff. But I'm not terrified of these other guys are so much more skilled than we are. That's definitely not what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I mean, if we want to play, what's wrong with this guitar?
No,
that would be a fun thing to do. We could.
What's wrong with this $30,000 guitar?
So I'll go out and I'll look at guitars and I'll come back and I'll say, okay, Matt, I want you to go over to booth number blah 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 da da da. Tell me what's wrong with that guitar, and then you go and look at it, and then you go to another booth. And
Just
keep playing the game.
I think we're going to see some really excellent instruments, and I think we're going to meet some really cool people.
Yeah,
and I think we're going to. Do. I think that I know the guitars we are taking are going to show very well, and I can't wait for people to see them.
Yes, I think it'll be. I think it'll be fun. I think we'll get some exposure, and that's all you can hope for.
Okay, so let's move forward, Chris. You and I have been building. I'm going to say Fender. We've been building a lot of guitars for a long, long time, and in the last decade or more, we've built our own designs, and we've built a bunch of classic instruments. We built versions of classic instruments. Every time we build a version of a classic instrument these days, it's kind of like what were the old guys thinking when they came up with, I don't know, say the Gibson Firebird, why did they do what they did? And sometimes building a guitar in the style that of a particular instrument, it gives you a lot of insight into what the guitar builders were thinking, or what the guitar designers were thinking when they designed and or built the guitars. So you and I have built a number of Fender inspired guitars, a number of Fender clones, a number of Fender counterfeit guitars, like a lot of different guitars. And in the last 2 weeks, we have built well, maybe in the last 3 weeks, you and I have built, by comparison, a handful of Paul Reed Smith style instruments.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a working knowledge of what was going on with the Telecaster, the Stratocaster, the Jazzmaster, the Jaguar, the Electric 12,
Sure.
the P bass, the J bass, the Marauder, did I miss any?
Well, yeah, there's others, but those are all the big
that
ones.
we have done.
Uh-huh.
The big ones like the Marauder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I meant, there's other models.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're all just derivatives. So.
And now we've built a handful of PRS style instruments.
Uh-huh.
Who do you think? Okay, so let's do some Paul Reed Smith versus Leo Fender.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Okay.
There's a lot more pictures of Paul Reed Smith than there is Leo Fender.
Yeah.
So Paul Reed Smith definitely wins in there's more pictures of
more
me
photogenic.
I didn't say that. There's
I
more
actually
pictures.
I actually think there was a time period when nobody knew who Leo Fender was.
Really?
Nobody cared.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? It's funny that
it was just old news. It was just
okay.
I mean,
because now
I know he's more popular now than he was when he was alive.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the way it works, right? I don't think people were knocking down his door the last few years of his life. I want to meet Leo Fender.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah,
but people would be like that now. Leo Fender is the greatest.
Okay.
All right, whatever.
All right.
Anyway.
So let's get down to the actual real things here.
Okay.
I submit to you that, gosh, Leo Fender and Paul Reed Smith, terrific marketing. Whoever's doing the marketing for those two, for Fender guitars and Paul Reed's,
wasn't Leo Fender.
It wasn't.
No, it was a guy named Don Randall.
Okay.
Who was head of marketing.
Now, I don't know the answer to this, but here, listen, and you'll hear the clicking of thousands of keyboards. Who does the marketing for Paul Reed Smith? I mean, Paul Reed Smith is definitely
originally
there.
He did the marketing, right?
I mean,
he was pretty much the guy.
He's definitely the face of the company, and I don't know if he still owns the whole thing or if he's the C whatever.
I don't know how much control he has. But listen, I do know.
You hear it? You can just make it out. The clicking of okay. So anyway, you were saying.
So anyway, the guy really Leo was the designer of the guitars.
Mm-hmm.
That was about it.
Okay.
Don Randall was the guy that named them all. Don Randall was the one that set the prices. Don Randall was the guy that assembled the group to go out and sell all these guitars. Really, Don Randall's the man.
Okay.
Don Randall is one that early on he was working for a company that sold electronic parts and realized pretty early on that if you didn't have something unique to sell, you were pretty much just passing it through for whatever the margin was at the time.
Okay.
And if somebody came along that was willing to sell it for cheaper, then you lost out. And so you had to have a unique product.
All right,
that was something that was big.
So let's fast forward to 1985.
Okay.
Which is when Paul Reed Smith, right around that time, is when he started doing that. He basically did offer something that was
something that nobody else had.
You guys might not get this, but in 1985, you couldn't just go into Guitar Center anywhere in the world. And well, first of all, there's more Guitar Centers now than in 1985. There's way more Paul Reed Smiths than there were in 1985.
Yeah.
And so, if you wanted one, you kind of had to earn it. And I'm not saying that now it's not that owning a Paul Reed Smith doesn't mean something, but in 1985, it meant a lot more.
Yeah.
Would you not agree?
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think demand outstripped supply for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you got one, that was really something.
Did you ever see that Wake Up Maryland or whatever, 1985 thing where they went to the Paul Reed Smith factory?
I actually have seen some of that. Yeah. I can't believe
it wasn't
video
Wake Up
quality
Maryland,
was that bad back then.
I know,
things
right?
have deteriorated since. But
do you remember seeing a pin router anywhere?
No,
I don't either. You know why? Because everything was done on that great big custom made copy carver. Like pickup routes were done on that,
which I still can't figure out.
I can't figure it out either. Yeah. Now maybe we missed something.
Yeah, maybe.
But I used to have one of those guitars that was made on that rig. And it's just blows my mind that in my lifetime, there were guys doing that. And now they're all CNC made.
Yeah.
But anyway. Okay, so let's see what the comment section has to say about Paul Reed Smith versus Leo Fender. Loring says he got to meet Leo and George when he was 12.
Loring said that?
Loring said
That's
that.
Cool.
Like 40, 50 years.
Rusty Shackelford says he's the Coke bottle glasses of the company. I think he's talking about Paul Reed Smith, but I don't know. Nuclear Grizzly says all Leo did was design the guitars. That's all. I think he's taking umbrage with your.
Honestly, he didn't even do that.
Okay.
There was a team of guys. Freddie Tavares is mostly responsible for the Stratocaster.
Oh, okay.
So and honest, I mean, yeah, but there's a lot of bullshit about Leo Fender and all the things he did. He didn't run the factory. He designed
he did the fret jobs.
He didn't design the amps. He stole all the amp circuits from a big amp book that you used to be able to buy.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and then tweaked them to get what they wanted him to do.
So that means that Jim Marshall stole a stolen thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he had nothing to do with any of the sales stuff. In fact, the sales department were beyond pissed off with Leo Fender because Leo went at his own pace on everything. And they'd sort of talk about a new guitar and introduce it. And then Leo would drag his heels on the finished product, the official finished product. And they'd be like back like 10,000 guitars or 20,000.
Why do you think he would do that?
Because he wanted it to be exactly how he wanted it to be. Right. And really he didn't care, I think, So yeah, Don Randall is the man.
Okay.
If not for Don Randall, Fender would have gone out of business in 1948.
Wow. Okay. All right. There you go.
It's a fact. Look it up. Read a book.
Read some books. Okay. Let's. Okay. So Leo Fender. I wish that we knew who Paul Reed Smith's Don Randall or George Fullerton was, because there's guys who helped him along the way.
Yeah, I think so. But
we don't know what he does or doesn't do.
I think he's a smart guy, and he probably saw and learned and talked to other people and saw a lot of that stuff. This I don't want this to sound like what Paul Reed Smith did is small. It's way easier to do it the second time than it is the first time.
Okay.
As far as, some of it and some of it, I think maybe he just got lucky.
Okay. I definitely think that Paul Smith certainly came around at exactly the right time.
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't think that what he did was gosh, there were lots of people doing what he was doing. That is to say, making guitars that I want one too. Building instruments that were better than what you could get from Brand X.
Yeah, I think
at
so.
the time.
And I think
and by Brand X, I mean Gibson and Fender.
And I think not only better but different, and I think Gibson and Fender had both gotten really, really, really stale. I mean, they were still making just standard stuff. There was no
oddly enough, they're still making standard stuff, and that's actually what more people want.
Yeah, but they also branch out. But like in the case of Fender, they were cutting back on colors and just all sorts of stuff, and just so it was like bare bones, And yeah, what color do you want? White or sunburst? Okay.
Based on what we are building, God bless you, sir.
Thank you, my friend.
Based on what we are building this week and last week, who do you think? Okay, a Fender. Okay, pick any Fender and pick these Paul Reed. We have a very, very small sample size of Paul Reed Smith style instruments that we have been kind of experimenting with, really to kind of learn a little bit about what goes on. As guitar builders, we're learning a lot about Paul Reed Smith by building some guitars.
I've never been like a big Paul Reed Smith guy, but you know,
that's a great question. After doing this for 2 or 3 weeks,
Uh-huh.
has your opinion of Paul Reed Smith's
Well, yeah,
guitars
I think they're
changed?
cool guitars. Yeah, I dig them. I dig the stuff that we're making. I think they're really neat.
I do
I would
too.
actually like to play one more seriously than I've
Okay.
gotten the chance to. Yeah, I think they're neat, and I really like the story, and I like all of it, and so something I've always wondered. I mean, Hamer guitars are really cool. They were sort of a contemporary there for a hot minute
of Paul Reed Smith.
right?
Yeah, they made very similar.
Yeah,
they both
why
made
did
Les
things-
Paul Juniors.
Why did both companies sort of? I mean, one went on, one cratered. And is that luck of the draw? Is that big people? Or what is it?
I think Paul Reed Smith was able to keep control of the company longer
I think
than
so too.
the people at Hamer were.
I think so too. And
I think, but I don't know.
I think the need for money makes companies make bad decisions.
I'm
and get in bed with the wrong people.
Yeah.
We've all done that.
I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to read Dylan's comment, and then I
Okay.
want you to answer the question, so you have an opportunity to think about it.
Okay.
Chris, do you think that Paul Reed Smith thinks he's telling the truth when he talks about all the things that he talks about, tone woods and glue and nut density and fret, blah, 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 blah. And while you're thinking about that, I'm going to take a quick super chat from Dylan, who says, people don't like it when I say Leo was an accountant who was trying to make as many models as possible with the least amount of parts. Okay. Thank you, Dylan. And Dylan,
can I speak to that for just
no,
a
you
second?
can't. No, you can't.
That's a really short sentence.
No, you can't.
Okay.
All right. Okay, you can.
So when
Killing you, Brian?
when they first developed the Telecaster, Leo Fender thought of that guitar as the Fender guitar. And he thought that subsequent models like the Stratocaster would supplant previous models.
And so the Stratocaster would then become the Fender guitar.
Guitar, and they would stop making Telecasters, and that proved not to be true.
Yeah.
Now they came out with differing, lower price points, but really the top end guitar he thought was just going to be this evolving thing, and that proved not to be true. So they kept making Telecasters.
Okay. All right.
The end.
The end. One of the things that we haven't made, I don't think any of, is like Mustangs or any of the.
No, we've made some kind of like that stuff. So the Mustang is the first, kind of cool student guitar. They had Duosonics and Music Masters and stuff like that. But those are all like entry point, bargain. Yeah, compete with Harmony. They didn't compete with Harmony.
I don't necessarily even want to say entry point. I want to say entry level, because I think that our Challenger Level 1 is an entry point. There's nothing entry level about
Right.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, there were obvious cost cutting measures on those guitars.
The only thing that's cost cutting on the Level 1 is the finish that we use. That's it. Everything else is identical.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Chris, do you believe that Paul Reed Smith believes all the stuff that he says on
I think in some way, I think he overstates a lot of it.
Okay.
I think, small hinges swing big doors. Does anybody understand what that means?
Little strokes fell big oaks.
Yeah, it means small things can all add up to something bigger.
No, I don't think there's anything. There's no such thing as a small, or insignificant choice, right? I mean,
yeah. But I do think that he overstates an awful lot of that stuff.
Okay.
I can't imagine trying to make things out of wood that are all exactly the same every single time as far as density and
I think you get like half the story.
Yeah.
So like one of the things that you said to me many, many years ago was the whole guys, I don't want to get into the whole tone tapping debate, but if you hold a piece of lumber up in space and tap on it, you get a sound.
Yeah.
And if you go to one of the sides, you get a bunch of different sounds. As soon as you wrap 200 pounds of mat around it, it's not the same sound.
No.
It's deadened by my big fat body. So, and that's 100% true. Now, that doesn't mean that the wood doesn't still want to do its thing.
Right.
But as soon as but the guitar isn't just floating in midair.
Yeah.
It's you have to pick it up and play it.
Yeah. I think so. But a lot of those little things can add up to. I always like to talk about the player experience, as lots of people out there know, and different guitars can feel different because they resonate differently.
Sure.
And there's all sorts of reasons for that, and the ones that resonate feel better against your body, making you think maybe they sound better through an amp. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't think they do. I think all of that stuff is solid body electric guitars. That stuff is mostly muted.
I think
you can go on YouTube and you can watch videos of Gibson Les Pauls versus other stuff and listen and try and guess, and I think it's at best a crapshoot.
All right. Hot Chris's hot take. Do you think Leo Fender cared about tone wood?
No.
Do you think that other guy who you were talking about, what is it, Ray Davies?
Yeah, Ray Davies. No.
Ray
Don
Davies
Randall.
from the Don Randall.
No,
yeah. You think
no.
Don Randall cared about tone wood?
Nope.
All right, it's going to get tricky. You think Paul Reed Smith cares about tone wood?
I think something that Paul Reed Smith did early on was know that people loved flamey Les Pauls and decided to use wood like that on his guitars.
Okay, but do you think Paul Reed Smith? Do you think Paul Reed Smith really thinks tone wood's a thing?
At this point, he might.
Okay, now
I think early on he didn't really. I think it was all about I'm going to use traditional, easy to machine mahogany and the best wood I can on the top.
All right, so we don't know what Leo Fender, we don't know what Don Randall, and we don't know what Paul Reed Smith really, really honestly thinks.
Yeah.
Chris's hot take. What do you think Matt thinks about tone wood?
I think Matt thinks if you think it's a thing, it's a thing.
You're mostly right.
Okay.
I'm here to tell you that I think tone wood is a thing.
Okay.
I think that tone wood is absolutely a thing on acoustic instruments. It's less of a thing on solid body electric guitars.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true.
And you're right. I do think that if you think it's cool, you should do it. I also think that if you found the greatest sounding wood in the world and guitar buyers had no idea what it was, you would never sell it and you would stop using it immediately.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think there's a lot of traditionalism.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if there was some big study that cherry was the one true and holy wood, nobody'd use it still because it's not traditional.
Yeah, because they want mahogany and they want maple and they want ash.
And the real reason is because you need a lot of it.
Yeah.
Ash and mahogany and even maple's not overly expensive. It can get expensive, but it's not.
Plain maple is considerably less money than plain Hunter and mahogany.
Well, and something funny. The pine guitar.
Douglas fir.
Sorry, the Douglas fir.
A lot of people want to say pine because they think pine
I just
those cabinets
are 2x4 and But that guitar did not machine well.
No, it sucked.
If that's the only reason to not use a wood, that's the reason to not build guitars out of that. That wood is full of uber soft wood and fairly hard wood running in really, really, really small veins. And when you try and drill a hole, if it hits one of those hard veins, it just tears into that soft wood with abandon.
Gosh, you don't even have to use a tool. You could use sandpaper and it does the same thing. And it does
the exact same thing. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so the wood that they used back in the day, there was a reason that Gibson used the same wood for however long, because it machines well and it goes together well, it glues together well. It's fairly consistent.
Loring says this is the best episode ever. Thank you, Loring.
Because he likes all the Fender stuff. So I got a question for you at some point.
For me or Loring?
No, for you.
I'm all ears.
During this whole PRS thing, it's always been, the idea is always that, Paul Smith took the best of Fender and the best of Gibson and put them together. What do you think of that idea?
Well, okay. I think that if I go back to 1989, when I bought my very first Paul Reed Smith that was used at the time, I think it was an 86 or an 87. I thought that because I thought, well, it's got a horn it's got two cutaways like a Strat. It's got two humbuckers like a Les Paul. It's got a trim like a Strat. It's got three on the side like a Les Paul. It's got mahogany with maple like a Les Paul. It's got a little longer scale length like a Fender. I think that I believed all that stuff. Now, remember, back in those days, it had a volume knob, a 5-way rotary switch, and a sweet switch. Those were the controls that you got from Paul Reed Smith then. By the way, the sweet switch, for those of you who don't know, it was supposed to sound like you had a really long cord.
Which is what everybody wants.
Yeah. And the I don't remember exactly what the voicing was on the rotary switch, but I think it was like in phase, out of phase, or something. I don't think you could split the coils on it. There was no micro switch. And well, there was a micro switch. It was the sweet switch. It's supposed to make it sound like you had a really long cord. Now I think that the Paul Reed Smith is considerably more like a Gibson than a Fender.
Okay.
However, you said something to me the other day that really resonated with me, and that is the carve on the Paul Reed Smith, the classic Paul Reed Smith carved top guitar, is neither fish nor fowl, Gibson or Fender. It's considerably more like a Mosrite than I ever thought. I don't know if Paul thinks that or not.
I don't know. Well, I think some of that stuff just sort of seeps in, and you don't really know where it comes from. It just sort of happens. Yeah.
I think man, I don't know. Did I answer that correctly?
Yeah,
did
I think
I answer
you did.
it effectively?
And I think I answer that question the opposite.
Oh, well, how do you
I
feel?
think that guitar is.
Oh, whoa, hold on, stop. Let me qualify my answer, and then you tell me, because I don't want anyone to think that I don't want to be
misquoted.
No, I don't want to change my answer.
Okay.
So I think that the mahogany body, the mahogany neck, the set neck, it's probably less like a Les Paul and way more like a Les Paul Jr. Because if you look at some of the old stuff that Mr. Smith was building, it was basically Les Paul Jr.'s. The headstock is way better than his original headstock, which was really kooky, really hippie headstock. I think that the 25-inch scale is ridiculous, completely unnecessary, except when you have 24 frets. Then you have to push those pickups out a little bit. So that's, for me, that's entirely the whole reason to have a slightly longer scale.
All right.
I think that the set neck, I still think that the set neck is better than the bolt-on neck, mostly because I used to work with Bruce Clay, and I've seen so many Fender necks that are looser than your mom in Cancun. And so, yeah, I think that the Paul Reed Smith is quite possibly the ultimate Gibson guitar, not a combination of Fender and Gibson. Okay.
The more I do with these PRSs, the more I think it's mostly Fender.
Okay.
And I think they're only because of a couple of things. I think the body shape, even though it's got some Gibson, but it still kind of looks like a Strat to me.
It does.
The ones that we're doing have a blade switch in it, which is totally a Fender thing.
And remember, the original ones had a rotary switch. So yeah.
For all the pickups?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you couldn't tell which pickup you were on because I want to say it had a 1 through 10 dial on it. So you're like, I don't know if you just by looking at it, you can't tell.
Yeah. Just the body shape, the carve is kind of contoury. I don't know. I'm just like, I think what he did is he wanted to take a favorite shape, like a Fender Strat, and turn it more into a Gibson with a bunch of things, but it's still got a trim, which isn't a Gibson thing.
Who did it better, Eddie Van Halen or Paul Reed Smith?
who did it better.
Taking a Strat and turning it and making it sound like.
Well, I think Eddie Van Halen's are still pretty much just Strats.
Yeah,
a bunch of hot rod parts. His guitar is like a 32 Ford with a bunch of hot rod parts on it.
Rob says
like
two loose moms in Cancun and ad free, of course, super chat for $10. I knew if I said like your mom in Cancun, somebody would give me a super chat.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, because
what about the neck joint?
Well, the neck joint, that's a thing, right?
It's definitely more sturdy than an SG.
Yeah, it's
definitely
still fairly
not
small.
It's definitely not as sturdy as a Strat or a Les Paul.
No,
it's tiny.
Yeah, it is. It's fairly small. Yeah, but access is really good. Yeah, I don't know. It's a cool guitar, and it's funny because, I mean, you can tell Paul Reed Smith is a student of design, and looked at a lot of guitars and worked on a lot of guitars and paid attention and made a mental list of all the things that he liked.
How about this?
So we were joking around earlier, and I was like, well, Paul Reed Smith just took, his favorite thing from Gibson and Fender, and and started doing it. And then if the question, because some of it's Fendery, some of it's Gibson-y, but scale length is neither. So he just split the difference. He just went down the middle on that deal, which might have been a thing, right?
Maybe he really liked Dobros.
Maybe, yeah.
Because they're the other guys who use that 25-inch.
Yeah, well, and I think there's some other people that have used it in the past, but nobody up until then. I mean, everything that's been done's been done before Paul Reed Smith.
I have a question for you in the form of a statement.
Okay.
If it wasn't for that scoopy outy thing on the treble side near the body, you'd have never heard of Paul Reed Smith guitars.
That might be true.
Without that little scoopy outy thing, that guitar looks weird.
It might. I've never seen one without it.
You wouldn't. And why would you?
Well,
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
3J Music says $5 and says loose moms made me do it. Let's go. All right.
I need to go to Cancun.
You might need to go to Cancun, Holmes.
What time of year would you go for this? Because spring break isn't the right time.
No, if you want to meet MILFs, then
January, right around the holidays, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sean Joint says the Challenger is more Hamer. God bless you, Sean. You are absolutely. I like your style.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I draw a lot of more inspiration from Gibson, and like I said, I think that the Paul Reed Smith is basically a Gibson to me. So I maybe took some inspiration from that, but
so
Hamer is absolutely a Gibson.
This may irritate some people.
Okay.
I don't find Les Paul's ergonomics overly comfortable.
No.
I'm sure. But I do find Strat's ergonomics, the body in that, fairly comfortable. So maybe you want to turn a Les Paul into a Stratty shaped thing. Maybe, I don't know.
A lot of people ask me, can you put on the Challenger, can you put an arm contour on it? And I'm like, no, they're all carved tops.
They're carved tops, and it's actually pretty comfortable.
So
I
no,
spent
you
a bunch
can't.
of time with two of Doug's.
Okay.
He had a level 1 and a level 2. One of them had a trim. That was fun. And I played that guitar for an hour.
Swanky maple top level 2 with a trim.
Yeah, that one was cool. And I played the level 1 quite a bit. And they're actually really comfortable to play. You would think, oh, well, I need an arm contour for it to be comfortable, but no, because it's carved and it's got a little bit of a slope, and it was totally fine.
What? Okay, real quick, what's the worst guitar ergonomically that you've ever played?
Worst guitar ergonomically?
Yeah.
You want my honest answer?
I want your honest answer.
Telecaster is one of the worst ones I've ever played ergonomically.
Mine?
Because that thing is so flippin' square.
Yeah.
And I understand why guys from the very beginning started hacking at those things, Jeff Beck almost got fired from Yardbirds for hacking his up. Yep.
Mine is okay. What do you think mine is?
Worst guitar
ergonomically.
Besides an acoustic,
no,
electric.
It's an electric, and it's not a guitar. It's a bass.
Oh, the Gibson Les Paul bass.
The Gibson Les Paul bass, which I loved.
The body's too small.
I would just wear the crap, like I would just beat my arm. Yeah, it was.
The bridge
I loved that
because the bridge is all the way to the back of the body,
Yeah.
and so you're at the end of the guitar.
Yeah.
You're not over the top.
The Les Paul guitar is way better than the Les Paul bass, and I wanted to love it.
Yeah, I don't really like Les Pauls all that much for the ergonomics. I love the way they look, but they're thick and they're square.
All right, let's irritate the internet some more.
Luckily, we don't have enough reach. We can't cast a net big enough to break the internet. We could irritate it for a little bit.
Ed Roman said that someone asked him once, "Do you think the Les Paul is poorly designed?" And he said, "I don't think the Les Paul is designed. They just took a regular guitar that already existed and forced it into a solid body electric."
They said, it needs to be slightly smaller than this, and this. And they went out back and they grabbed a parlor guitar outline and put a cutaway in it, and that was the Les Paul.
All right. Do you think the Paul Reed Smith is a well designed?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's interesting because it's got some quirks to it. From my perspective, getting to paint a bunch of those, there's some little corners and nooks and crannies and stuff that are not as hard to get to as I thought they would. SGs are hard to paint
because they come super sharp up and back in. Yeah,
it's real easy to put paint where you don't want paint. These were actually pretty easy to do. They were actually fairly easy to sand. You would think that, with the horns and the swoop and
you got to get them sanded before you glue the neck in. But
but you also have to sand them after the neck is glued in. And really it's fairly easy to do versus some other guitars that are not.
Sanding the tops is something that I think is something that it takes people a while to do. I bet you if we got jobs at Paul Reed Smith, we wouldn't be sanding tops the first day.
Probably not.
You guys all sanded tops your very first day.
Yeah. Matt and I'd be emptying trash the first 3 weeks.
I might be cleaning bathrooms with a tiny toothbrush.
Can I sand tops? Nope, not yet. No. But I know how to make guitars.
So all right. What's that? We're how much more time do we got here? Let's see. We've got 4 more minutes. Let's wrap it up, Chris, so we can get down to business and we can send you guys off to hang out with Dylan and his lovely wife Leslie. I'm sure they're going to talk about something controversial as well. Maybe not as controversial as
not as controversial as reliving history
when it comes to us
40 to 70 years.
Don't forget putting words and ideas into people's mouths. We did that a lot.
Let's do that.
So let's wrap it up. What do you think? Paul Reed Smith versus Leo Fender. Who has the better guitar builder name?
Paul Reed Smith seems like it's slightly
rolls.
Rolls. It's I didn't want to use the word sing-songy, but it sort of flows a little bit better.
Better guitar, Paul Reed Smith Classic 24 or Stratocaster?
Well, I think for the time the Stratocaster was really, really cool. The Paul Reed Smith might be a slightly better guitar.
It's a little more streamlined looking because you've got something built in 1954.
Well, I mean, it's
1985.
It's like comparing a 55 Chevy to a
85 Fiero.
To something good from 85.
The Fiero.
Camaro.
Yeah.
Well, let's go with the Camaro. I mean,
okay.
It new to new, the Camaro was probably the better built thing.
All right, I'm going to switch gears here I'm going to switch gears. We got 3 more minutes. What's the 1964 Valiant of guitars?
64 Valiant would be a. You mean right now in 2024? 1964?
No.
Right would have been a K Valiant.
Oh no. I mean, what's that? What's the 75 Dodge Dart of guitars? What's the Toyota Camry of guitars? It's got to be the Strat, right?
Oh well,
just because of the sheer number of them.
Honda Accord.
Would
be a better. Yeah, I mean. Because Dodge Valiant, who wants one of those? Only guys that are into Dodge Valiants or K guitars.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean Strats. Yeah, the #1 copied guitar in the
Yeah.
world, probably. Yeah.
I want you to know, I had no idea where I was going with that question when
good.
I asked.
Did I help you out?
You probably made it more
More
answerable.
weird than anything.
No,
Okay.
less weird.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah,
I think I really just wanted to say 74.
I thought you were
Dodge
going
Dart.
with cheap.
No.
Yeah, whatever. So yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, you guys. I urge you to go over to Dylan's channel and hang out with Dylan and Leslie for the next hour, 2 hours?
Yeah,
Encore out the door.
So
There's
the
a
first
psychotic
hour they
reaction.
do is guitar, and second hour they do is
Knives and guns and pens
Yeah.
and shit.
What do you guys want to talk about?
Yeah.
Spaghetti.
Okay. We will see you guys tomorrow for a really cool reveal. Featuring 5 people and 6 guitars. No, 7 guitars. Yeah. And we will also be at the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival, the Great American Archtop Festival. If you're in the Denver area this weekend, I urge you to stop by and come say hey to me and Chris, or to Joy and Jim.
Yeah.
Get a copy of the new Shellooe magazine, and you get your picture taken with Jimmy.
There you go. And I'll be in my Texas Toast windbreaker.
Hell yeah. Oh, do you still have your Texas Toast members only jacket?
That would be hilarious. Show up. I'm going to do that.
All right.
What the weather is, 90 degrees.
Members only
jacket, baby.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you tomorrow night for a really cool reveal. Dylan and Leslie, take it from here.